Hi guys, I'm Paul Pluter. I'm the method actor who plays ArchieLuxury. Today guys, I would like to do a state of the collection. Now in the last 12 months, my luxury wristwatch collection has exploded in size. I'd like to thank David, my very good friend who steered me into getting more models. I used to think the compact luxury watch collection was the way to go. I got it wrong, guys. I got it wrong. More is merrier. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to break my collection up. I'm going to break my collection up into sections. And the first section I want to talk to you about is chronographs. Chronographs. And I got to tell you guys, chronographs is what I really love. If there is a genre of wristwatch that I just adore, it is the chronograph. And it all started with this little baby here. That's right. What is it? Well, this box is made to represent a wing. A wing. That's right. A wing on an aeroplane. That's correct. This here is it is the Breguet Type 20. This is the Breguet Type 20, the Bregster. And this is the chronograph which got me into wristwatches. I gotta tell you, before the Breguet, I wasn't really a chronograph sort of guy. No, that's right, I wasn't really into chronographs. And it happened in 2001. I was doing I was helping a friend who was a watch dealer sell pieces. And one of the pieces I was photographing for him was a Breguet Type 20. And it was actually very similar to this watch here. This is what they call the Ehrenwahl. It's the no date Type 20. And this watch here, it was also on a bracelet. I just saw it and I was hooked. Breguet. I'd heard of that brand before. I'd actually owned a Breguet for a very short time. It was a white gold gentleman's wristwatch, which I bought and sold to European Watch Gallery, which is Shawnee in Melbourne. And I wish I'd actually kept that watch. But anyhow, that was a different time. I gotta tell you, the Breguet itself, well, what can I say? Breguet, it's a very magical brand. You think of Napoleon Bonaparte. Yes, Napoleon Bonaparte. Sir Winston Churchill. These are Breguet owners. And many classic key elements of Breguet have been put into this particular chronograph. The coin edging, look at the coin edging. Just the attention to detail on this piece is amazing. It's using a Lemania movement. I think it's a 582 from memory. Anyhow, it uses a Lemania movement, which is exclusive to the Breguet. And I gotta tell you, it's just such a beautiful watch. I gotta tell you, state of the collection, in my collection itself there, the Breguet, I've owned it. I've owned a Breguet Type 20 a number of times. The first one I got was a transatlantic on a leather strap. Transatlantic is the one that has the date at the 6. Okay. So I owned that one, then I sold it, and I couldn't live without it. Immediately, as soon as I sold it, I wanted it back again. I sold it to Marquis in Perth. I then bought another one from Ian, the watch dealer, and I then sold that to another West Australian, Matthew, and then I got a President. With the money, I sold a few things off and got a Rolex Solid Gold President. I miss the Breguet. I miss the Breguet. And then I was looking at one at E-Lady and I said to Dave, should I pull the trigger? He said, pull the trigger, Archie! And that's exactly what I did. And I got to be honest with you, it was very short of links. I had to get links for it, and they were quite expensive. I needed 6 links. 6 links. Then there's 2 different types of links, and I got the wrong ones, and I had to send it back, and eventually I got it sorted out. It cost me about $900 worth of links, so it fits me. But I'm very happy. It's in really nice condition. It came from Japan, E-Lady. It's box and papers. And state of the collection, what do I think of it? I love my Breguet. My Breguet is the chronograph that got me hooked on chronographs. It's a piece of horology. It's a Breguet. It's a Breguet. It's a fantastic brand. Breguet used to be French. They were French. They invented the tourbillon. This is a super brand. Some people say the Breguet isn't, you know, it's not quite good enough to be a Breguet, you know, because a lot of Breguets are very expensive. They invented the tourbillon, and a lot of them are precious metal. This is a stainless steel, but I disagree with that. I think this is every much a Breguet. It's using a beautiful OMMANEY, which OMMANEY used to supply Patek Philippe. It's very beautifully done, well made, just the attention to detail, just the way they've made the, look at the dial, it's just superb. So I got to be honest with you, how do I feel about this watch? Well, the biggest mistake I ever made with the Breguet was selling the Breguet, and I've always wanted it back. I can't, the Breguet Type 20, I can't part with it. They have some other ones. They got the Type 21 and the Type 22, which are bigger, which I get, but I got to be honest with you, I think the Type 20 is the most beautiful. It's a 39 mil. It's a kind of a odd size, but it is quite thick, and it's got the most beautiful curved glass. Absolutely beautiful curved glass. Possibly see there. So the Breguet itself, what do I think of it? What's my opinion? I love the Breguet. I really do. I think it's a special watch. I think the Breguet is I don't want to sell it. I can't sell it. It's something I really do love. I've got the bracelet for it. So I mean, the bracelet is a little bit delicate. I think if I was buying one again, I'd probably get the leather strap version. But since I've got the bracelet one and it fits, yes, it is nowhere near. It is a delicate watch. It's like a Patek Philippe or a Reverso. It is a delicate watch. It's not like a Rolex, which is very rugged. But I honestly, I just love it. I love my Breguet to death. It's a gorgeous piece. It means that watch means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Just the beautiful design excellence. The whole way Breguet does things is just superb. It's a superb piece. So that's the watch which got me into chronographs. It's the piece that got me into chronographs, and I'm still very hooked on it. So state of the collection, the Breguet. I love my Breguet. I just love the black dial, the dial there. It's I love everything about the Breguet. The Breguet means a lot to me. That's just gorgeous. I love my Breguet. I could not sell my Breguet. I must be truthful in the sense that it just is such a cool, just a cool watch. It's so cool. It's just a very, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a semi-spiritual experience. I love my Breguet. Okay, so the next piece in my my chronograph collection. What is it? The classic Omega box. And of course it is the the Omega Speedmaster, the man on the moon. Man on the moon. Ah, the moon watch, the classic moon watch. What do I think of the Omega Speedmaster? Man on the moon, man on the moon. This is one of the classic iconic watches. The Breguet may be the watch that prepped my interest in chronographs. However, the first chronograph I bought, I did actually have a chronograph before that, which I bought in a partnership, but I never considered it mine, was the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. The Man on the Moon watch. That was the first one which I fell in love with. And I got to tell you, how do I feel about it? It's interesting. When I have a Speedmaster, it's always a watch. I've sold a few of them because they are so easy to sell. They're relatively, in luxury watch speak, they are relatively good value. Okay, so they're always easy to sell because someone's always wanting one, and that's kind of how they are. I got to be honest with you. I've owned a few. I got my first one in the late noughties. Okay, late noughties. We're talking 2008-ish, I think, 2007. And I've owned a few. I've owned a few Speedmasters. I've had a few. Every time I've sold one, I've lusted for it back. And that is the honest truth there. Every time I've sold one, I've wanted it back. It's a really interesting chronograph, 42.5 mils, which is quite big. But when they engineered it, they've made it so that it's got scoops on the case so that it actually, you think it's much smaller. I thought it was 40 mils until hang on a tick, that's not 40. It's done to look smaller because when this watch came out in the late 50s, smaller was in. And they had to make it bigger before to accommodate the movement, and just, this is, you know, an early chronograph. So I've got to be honest with you. The Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon, the professional. I love it. I absolutely love it. Every time I've sold it, I've wanted it back. And that's the thing. When you've got it, you feel, okay, I've got an Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. That's fine. No worries. No problems. But then you sell it because they are so easy to sell. Everyone, you've always got buyers who want these. Then you sell it and you can't find one. And I got a box papers one now. Absolute minter. My friend Brian from Zircon Security and Debt Recovery got me this one from a dealer in Melbourne. And I got to tell you, I don't. If I sold it, the problem is easy to sell, hard to get back again. So they kind of, Omegas had a few weird things. The grey market's flooded a few of these Omegas. They come down a bit in price, but they're going back up. I think realistically, you can't get a box papers one for less than 4,000 Australian secondhand, and I think that they're a amazing buy, absolutely stunning. I love it on the bracelet. I love the Halcyon glass, the non-display back, manual wind, just the classic iconic Omega Speedmaster Professional. It's a token. I think this watch here. You know, the funny thing is when you do own it, you don't consider lust. You don't lust after it because you already own it. But I think it's realistically one of the most beautiful chronographs of all time. It's an icon. Manual wind. Manual wind is such a cool function to have. No date, just manual wind. This is for a purist. This is for a purist. I think they're absolutely beautiful. They're just a time warp type watch. This is sort of very similar to how the original ones were sold. The original ones had the 3-2-1 movement. These have got the 1-8-6-1, which is different, slightly different to the 8-6-1 in the sense that it's rhodium plate. They just kind of cleaned it up a bit, okay? Cleaned it up a bit, but it's just such a cool Omega to have, and I can't sell it because it's easy to sell, but as soon as I sell it, I'll lust after it and need to get it again. So I've done that a number of times. I've had a few, and I think I've learnt the lesson now. Don't sell your Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. You sell it, you're going to want it back again. I think they are an absolute, they are classic. They are just such a beautiful, beautiful watch. I think they're just very, very, very cool watch. Just so cool. And I got to be honest with you, they've got the new big box, and they've kind of, yeah, I get it. I like the simplicity of just the red box. You know, it was kind of, the box wasn't important. This is for people who wore their watches. They weren't safe queens. They wore these things and they used them, and they had many years of dedicated service. They loved their watches. That's why you bought one. You just loved your watches. And I got to be honest with you, state of the collection with the Omega, I love it more than ever. Okay, yes, I've had beautiful, I've got the Breguet. The Breguet's prestigious, and but this is the first chronograph I bought for myself. First chronograph. I came late to chronographs, and I just absolutely adore it. So, state of the collection with the chronograph. I love my Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. Cannot live without it. Cannot. It's just cannot be done. It is just iconic. It's classic. I just adore it. I absolutely adore the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. You either get it or you don't get it. And for me, I think it's one of the legendary chronographs of all time. So I'm absolutely hooked on it. Okay, next chronograph I want to discuss is this is this was the latest. This is the last chronograph I bought. Zenith. And I got to tell you guys, I got it so wrong with Zenith. I got it wrong. I want to say I'm very sorry, Zenith. I am a complete idiot. I got it completely wrong, and I apologize to the brand. I apologize sincerely for being stupid. And I'll just open this up. I've got the beautiful, I love this wooden box. This is the beautiful, they give this box to the flagship models. So this doesn't go to the 38 mil. This is only on the 42 mil open. And have a look at that. This is just such an iconic piece. The Zenith Chronomaster El Primero 1969 open. And I absolutely love this piece. This is what all chronographs are measured against. The race was on in the 1960s to release the world's first automatic chronograph. And there were three main contenders. There was Seiko with the 6139. There was Heuer in a consortium with Hamilton and Bruin. There was a number of makers who were working on the Caliber 11. And you had Zenith. And the thing about the Zenith El Primero was that they were designing the movement from scratch to be a chronograph. Whereas with the Heuer consortium, with the Caliber 11 consortium, they were putting a module chronograph on top of an existing movement. So it was kind of a compromise. Now, there is structured debate who was first, and it's kind of been considered that Seiko was probably first, even though they only released the 6139 in the Japanese market. They were probably first to release something, even though it wasn't the international market, it was the Japanese market. And it was probably the Heuer Caliber 11, which came out in the international sphere, followed by Zenith. But that doesn't matter. 1969, and probably the best chronograph released was the El Primero. And this is a watch which I must apologize profusely. I got it so wrong. I thought the Zenith was hype and it's a soft brand. It doesn't retain value. Yes. But I got it so wrong. This is just such a wonderful watch. It's a high beat, which means it ticks at a faster rate than a conventional. Most watches are 28,800 beats per hour, whereas this is a 36.6. So it's got a faster tick to it. And I've got to be honest with you, this here is the 42mm, which is the original El Primero came out as 38mm. This is a 42mm, so it's been updated. And it's also got the beautiful open heart there. So it's not a full open, it's not a full skeletonized, it's just this section here. And I disliked it to start with because it looks a little bit like a tourbillon. But I've got to be honest with you. I've owned this now for a number of months. My good friend Scotty helped me buy this because I'm still actually paying him off some money. I've gone over half. I've paid over half. But I've got to say, as state of the collection goes, I love my Zenith El Primero. I love it. I love this watch, and I can see why Rolex chose this movement for their Daytona when they updated it in 1988 from the mechanical chronograph Daytonas to the automatic. I can understand why they went to Zenith. Zenith themselves there are the clear experts in chronographs. So this watch itself, state of the collection, I love it. It's a new contender. It's only come in recent times, and I've got to be completely honest with you. I love this watch. I love my Zenith El Primero. This is the Zenith Chronomaster El Primero 1969 Open. That's what it's called. I adore it. The display back on it is gorgeous. It's very, very nicely done. And I think this is just, I love it. I really love it. This is a watch you buy when you are a Weiss, right? That's a super collector. You know your shit. You're not trying to pose, so I got a gold Rolex. No. This is for the purist. Somebody who's trying to say, hey, I know about watches. This is my credentials. It's there's only two watches that have that same oomph. That's the Zenith and the Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso. Those watches there are for purists. No, they may not have the best resale value. They may not retain the most bang per buck. But if you really know your watches, you've got to have a Zenith. You've got to have a Zenith El Primero. They are the cornerstone of any serious collection. I love this watch. Just the colors it uses. Scotty did have it on a rubber Zenith strap, but I just was a bit, I like to have it exactly correct to the catalog. So I've got, this is the Zenith crocodile strap, quite reasonable. It was about 330 Australian dollars, which for a genuine Zenith strap from Zenith, I think is pretty damn reasonable. The Zenith El Primero, I love it. It's in the collection. I cannot see myself ever selling it. I love it. I absolutely love my Zenith chronograph. I love it. I love it in just everything about it. I just love the design. I love the colors. It's a silver dial with a dark blue eye, grey eye. Then I've got the red second hand to count the time. It's just flamboyant. It's 1969, early 70s kind of fashion and design. I adore this piece. This is one of the watches that I could not live without. I don't think, as a collector, as a serious collector with my collection, I don't think I could get rid of this. I mean, you heard my spiel about the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. Well, I would not sell, I would sell this if I had to. If I was at gunpoint, I would get rid of the Omega Speedmaster and keep the Zenith. And that says a lot because I love my Speedy. So the Zenith itself there, what do I think? Absolutely amazing. Amazing watch. Absolutely amazing. You can't, there's no other words to describe it. It is just superb. It's just a cool, sexy watch. I've wanted one for a while and I finally pulled the trigger. I still owe Scotty a bit of money, but as far as I'm concerned, I could never part with it. I could not ever part with my El Primero. Love it to death. I just love it. It just makes me happy. Makes me happy. This is the watch I wore to my trial. This is the one when I went to court against the CCC. I wore the El Primero. I didn't want a Rolex, nothing too fancy. This is just a, if the judge, the magistrate was a bit of a watch connoisseur, he would have known, El Primero, watch person, yes. Not too fancy, not too crazy, but an El Primero. So I've got to be honest with you, I adore it. I adore it. I adore it. I adore it. I love this watch so much. I love my El Primero. Love it. Love it to death. Zenith. I got it so wrong. I got it so wrong. State of the collection, never to be sold. Never, ever to be sold. So that's the El Primero, which leaves us now to the last piece. The last piece in the chronograph part of my collection. Have a look. What is it? Da 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 da. Heuer. Yes, the House of Heuer. And let's open this beautiful box up. And what do we have here? We have my Tag Heuer Monaco Caliber 11. That's right. And I love my Caliber 11. This is Steve McQueen. How cooler can you get than Steve McQueen? It just doesn't happen. You just don't get anything cooler than a Steve McQueen. You just cannot get cooler. It's just not possible. It's just not possible to get cooler than the Steve McQueen chronograph. So I gotta tell you guys, this is the coolest watch on planet Earth. And it's beautiful, beautiful. State of the collection, I added this earlier this year. I love my Monaco. I love my Monaco. And I gotta tell you, in all honesty, this has been a loyal companion and friend to me. I bought this watch. This watch came, and basically the guy had bought it for his birthday. And then he got it. It was a dream, a grail for him for so long. And then he said, hey, it's too big. And it is a big watch. It's 39 mils, which you think, 39's not too big. But it's not circular. It's a square. So 39 in a square is massive. Massive. It's kind of like a 43 mil circular watch. And I got to be honest with you, 39 mils, you don't think it, but it's huge. Now, for me, the watch is fine. I adore it. The criticism with the Heuer is that the weakest link is the movement, the Sellita movement, which Tag was originally, they were using when they reissued this originally, well, actually they've had a few reissues. Let's back the truck up. They used an ETA in 2009, 2010 when they released the Heuer, and that was a 38 mil. But what happened was Tag Heuer is part of LVMH. They're not part of Swatch Group. Therefore, ETA movements weren't available. So they've had to look to another source, and they're using Sellita. Now, IWC has gone Sellita, and Tag Heuer has followed as well. So it's not the end of the world. It is a little bit disappointing because the Sellita, that's kind of a very average sort of, it's a generic movement. It's not a prestige in-house sort of movement. But I think you're missing the point. With the Heuer, it is all in that classic design. That's why you buy the Heuer. It's the sex appeal. It's the sex appeal. And I got to tell you honestly, I love my Heuer. It's not for sale. Not for sale. I really do think it's a special piece. It's a very avant-garde piece. It's very it's a purist piece. It's very much for the purist. I think it's one of the most beautiful chronographs of all time. When the automatic chronograph came out in 1969, there was a race. You had Seiko with the 6139, you had Zenith, and you also had a consortium which included Heuer. They were working on the caliber 11. And these were the people who I got to be honest with you, they were the first to release to the international market. That is the reality. And I got to be completely frank with you, the Heuer itself is so unique. The Monaco itself was a design which used the caliber 11. They had 3 Heuers were coming out to market at the same time. But I think the Monaco, it was designed to be an architect, someone who loved design. It's 1970. So if you're a 70s sort of child, which I am, 1972, this is the watch in Le Mans. So I gotta be completely honest with you. State of the collection. What do I think of the Heuer Monaco? I love it. I love it to death. I mean, I don't know if I could honestly exist without this piece. It is beautiful. The design, I know it's a modular chronograph. If you look carefully where the 2 pushes are, is higher than where the crown is. And that's because it's a module system. But it's Steve McQueen sexiness, elegance. That blue dial. I mean, this is the same time Mercedes had that gull wing. Remember that gull wing prototype, which they should have bloody released. But you know, that 70s gull wing they had. This is zany like that. That's the sort of blue. It was just a cool time. And mini skirts, and the women had just discovered the pill, and you know, it was a crazy time, man. It was crazy times. I gotta be honest with you, I love this watch. I really, really love this watch. Could I live without it? Possibly. Do I want to live without it? No way in the world. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's just sexy. It just captures that time period. And I think the Heuer Monaco, it's a cool watch. It's just so cool. There's nothing like it. It's just iconic. It's a design icon. And for that matter there, I adore it. I adore it so, so much. So, guys, that's state of the collection. That is the chronograph section. I'll be doing divers. I'll also be doing ladies, because I've got some ladies pieces. And I'll also be looking at, I've got some other watches there too. I've got a few other ones. I've got the Explorer 2 as a GMT function. That's kind of in my GMT and world timer sort of part. I've got the anti-magnetic with the Milgauss alternative, which is the IWC Ingenieur. I got a Milgauss that's coming, but it's the state of the collection. We've got to draw the line in the sand. It's not in my possession at the moment because I'm still making payments. There's a few other interesting watches I've got there. There's a few very interesting watches. I've got some divers, for example, and the Reverso. So this is going to be a great series. State of the collection. This is the chronograph part. I'm Paul Pluto. Tell me what you think. Put a few comments below. And don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, and tell your corporate friends.